What if we could see into the future? To the very end of time itself? What if we could see into the past? To the very first lights of the universe? What if we could look for planets just like our own and find that life out there isn't just possible, but that it's already found us? These are the questions the James Webb Telescope was built to answer. A $10 billion window into the cosmos. A machine of pure science. Launched to gather information on the deepest questions of our existence. But ever since it opened its eye to the void, things have gotten strange. The data isn't just challenging what we know about the universe. It's being hidden, classified, locked away behind a wall of redactions and official silence. Why? Let's find out. The story begins with a promise. Conceived to succeed the legendary Hubble, JWST was an engineering marvel decades in the making. A fragile origami of gold-plated beryllium destined for a point a million miles away from Earth. Its mission was noble: peer back in time to the first galaxies, study the atmospheres of distant exoplanets, and search for the chemical fingerprints of life itself. And when it launched on Christmas Day in 2021, the world held its breath. A single malfunction in its hundreds of deployment steps would mean a catastrophic failure and an end to the mission. But it worked flawlessly. The first images were breathtaking. Galaxies, nebulae, stellar nurseries, the universe in sharper detail than ever before. Science was triumphant. But that triumph was short-lived. Almost immediately, Webb's data started causing problems. It began finding galaxies in the early universe that are too big, too mature. They simply shouldn't exist, according to our model of cosmic evolution. It was finding unexplained structures, mysteries that seemed to break physics. But the real story isn't the strange discoveries that Webb is making public. It's the discoveries they are actively and aggressively hiding from you. In 2023, journalists filed a routine Freedom of Information Act request. They asked NASA for the briefing slides presented to Congress about JWST's early results. NASA's first response was, no records exist. But the journalists appealed and they pushed back, and then suddenly the records did exist. They were released and they were heavily redacted. Whole sections, entire slides blacked out. Not for technical proprietary reasons and not for patent secrets either, but under a FOIA exemption known as B5, the deliberative process privilege. In other words, they are hiding the conversation about what Webb found. Why? What is in those briefings that is so sensitive? So world-altering that the public cannot be allowed to see the discussion about it. This wasn't an isolated event either. FOIA requests for specific JWST data are being denied outright. Research is being classified. The publicly funded window to the universe is being shuttered, and we're just being told to trust them. Even more suspicious, rumours began swirling about the potential cancellation of NASA's next great telescope, the Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope, a project perfectly suited to follow up on Webb's discoveries. Why cancel the next eye in the sky unless the first one is seeing things they never wanted us to see? When the first data streams poured in from a million miles away, the celebrations began. But in the quiet, late-night hours of mission control, a different sentiment began to take hold. A quiet, bewildered confusion. The first anomaly was a cosmic impossibility. James Webb peered back in time, as it was designed to do, to the universe's infancy. It found the earliest galaxies ever observed. But these were giant. Galaxies like CEERS 93316 exist in a mere 250 million years after the Big Bang. They were massive, mature, structured, and according to our most fundamental models of cosmology, these galaxies should not exist. They don't have time to form. It's like finding a fully formed adult in a photograph of a nursery room, taken months after birth. The very timeline of our universe is being called into question. And then the telescope turned its golden eye towards atmospheres of distant exoplanets. And here the mystery deepened. On a cold water-world Super 8 known as K218b, a world shrouded in a hydrogen-rich atmosphere, Webb spectrographs detected something provocative, a faint but persistent spectral signature that matches that of dimethyl sulfide, or DMS. Now, why does that matter? On Earth, DMS is only produced by one thing: life. Specifically by phytoplankton in our oceans. It is a potential biosignature, a gas that, as far as we know, can only be created by biologic processes. The scientific community urged extreme caution, as it should, but the finding hangs in the air, a tantalizing and profound question mark sitting in the void. Did Webb just find the first hint of life beyond Earth? And if so, why the sudden silence? But the strangeness wasn't just confined to the distant past or faraway worlds. It was found in the very fundamentals of reality. Webb's precise measurements of the expansion rate of the universe, the Hubble constant, have only deepened a crisis in cosmology. The discrepancy between how fast the universe should be expanding and how fast we observe it expanding is not resolving, it's widening. It's as if the cosmos speedometer is broken, and Webb is the first instrument precise enough to prove it. It's not a calibration error, it's a fundamental flaw in our understanding of physics itself. Galaxies that defy time, the chemical whisper of life. A universe expanding under unknown rules. These aren't just discoveries, they are cracks in the foundation of everything we think we know. And the most unsettling question of all is now being asked, not in public forums, but in private briefings. And if this is what they're willing to tell us, what breathtaking, paradigm-shattering truth are they hiding behind closed doors? We look into the past to predict the future. It's the first rule of science, and the James Webb Space Telescope is the ultimate time machine. Its infrared eyes don't just see the oldest light, they see the coldest things. They pierce through veils of dust and darkness that optical light can never penetrate. It's the perfect instrument for finding what's hidden in the frozen black depths of our own solar backyard. For decades, astronomers have theorized about what lies in the Oort cloud, that vast spherical shell of icy debris a light year away. It's the source of long-period comets, those rare, unpredictable visitors that swing into the inner solar system on million-year orbits. We've only ever seen them when they're already on their way in, such as the Atlas comet that you'll be familiar about if you've read the news on scientific discoveries recently. But what if Webb saw one out there? What if, during its calibration sweeps or a dedicated survey, something not on any of our charts, a dark traveller and a celestial ghost on an inbound trajectory directly to us? The math would be undeniable. An object of significant size on a direct course. Not for a near miss, but for a terminal encounter. A relic from the formation of the solar system, finally dislodged by some distant gravitational nudge. Now falling silently towards the heart of our system and directly towards us. The implications for this are biblical. An impact event, not on a regional catastrophe, but on an existential level. The kind that resets the clock on planetary life. The kind of discovery that wouldn't just be a headline, it would be the end of headlines. It would be the end of everything. Now ask yourself, what would those in power do with that information? Would they tell us? Or would they decide that the only thing more terrifying than annihilation is the certainty of it? They would classify it immediately, under the highest possible authority. Not to protect us, but to protect order. To prevent a global panic that would make the last days of civilization a nightmare of chaos and violence. They would play God with the truth, deciding that ignorance is a more merciful end than knowledge. They would pour resources into secret, desperate projects, deflection missions, arc bunkers, and they would watch the skies with a terror they dare not share. All while telling the public that James Webb is simply doing science, showing us pretty pictures of dying stars while silently confirming our own. This would explain the frantic FOIA redactions, the sudden classification of data, the whispers about cancelling the next great telescope. I build a new eye if the first one's already seen the end. It explains why the government is so deeply involved in a NASA project. This isn't about hiding aliens, it's about hiding our own expiration date. The James Webb Space Telescope was built to show us the dawn of creation. But what if its most profound discovery is the exact time and date of our own destruction? There is a threshold in science, a line between the anomalous and the artificial, between the inexplicable and the intentional. James Webb's primary mission is spectroscopy, reading the chemical fingerprints of light. It analyzes the atmospheres of distant exoplanets, looking for the telltale signs of biology: methane, oxygen, carbon dioxide. But what if it found a fingerprint that wasn't just biological, but technological? Imagine this. The data from a world like K218b comes in. At first, there's excitement over potential biosignatures, but then a junior analyst notices something else. Something buried in the data, an atmospheric chemical that is so bizarre, so unstable, it has no business existing in nature. A compound that can only be synthesized in a laboratory, a technosignature. Or perhaps it's not a chemical, but a pattern, a ratio of gases that is mathematically perfect, a Fibonacci sequence written in atmospheric chemistry, an unmistakable signature of design, not Darwinian evolution. But let's take this a step further, into even more unsettling territory. What if the discovery isn't 100 light years away, but much closer? The most classified research might not be about exoplanets at all. It might be from Webb studies of objects within our own solar system, the moons of Jupiter and Saturn, icy dwarfs in the Kuiper Belt. What if while studying the cryovolcanic plume of Saturn's moon Enceladus, Webb didn't just detect organic molecules? It detected complex organic molecules arranged in a way that defies all known abiotic processes. The building blocks of life, not just present but assembled. Or what if, while calculating the trajectory of a new interstellar object like Oumuamua, Webb's data confirmed it wasn't tumbling randomly, but was under non-gravitational acceleration, that it was being guided? It wouldn't be a radio signal, it would be something far more profound. A message written in the very fabric of a world's atmosphere. A beacon not of sound, but of chemistry. A signpost that says, "We're here." The government's reaction makes perfect sense. How do you announce to humanity that we're not alone? That we're not the pinnacle of creation? That our gods, our religions, our place in the cosmos is fundamentally wrong? You don't. Not until you understand the message. Not until you know who or what is on the other side. Are they benevolent? A warning? Or simply indifferent? The greatest discovery in human history becomes the greatest national security secret. This explains the extreme classification. The redactions aren't about hiding a rock, they're about hiding a revelation. The potential cancellation of the Roman telescope Perhaps its mission was to look at the same targets, and that is a risk they can no longer take. The James Webb Space Telescope was built to find the origins of life. What if it didn't find a miracle, but simply answered a call that was already there? What if it succeeded beyond our wildest dreams and our darkest nightmares? So, where does that leave us? 3 paths, 3 potential truths, each more world-shattering than the last. A hidden cataclysm written in the orbital mechanics of a doom-laden comet. The ultimate proof that we're not alone, encoded in the atmosphere of a distant world. Or the terrifying glimpse of a universe whose fundamental rules we do not and perhaps cannot understand. It is compelling. It is a narrative that fits the facts of secrecy, the redactions, the sudden nervousness around a once celebrated mission. But before we descend too far down the rabbit hole, logical skepticism is required. Is the simplest explanation perhaps the most boring one? Could the redactions be about bureaucracy, about protecting scientific priority for researchers before publication, about concealing technical vulnerabilities in the telescope's systems from geopolitical rivals? It's possible, it's logical, but it feels inadequate. It doesn't explain the scale, the urgency, and the shift in tone. The truth is, we're standing at the edge of a new cosmic ocean, and the James Webb is our first glimpse of the waves. It was designed to be disruptive, to break our models, to make us question everything we thought we knew. And in that light, the most likely explanation might be that the truth is simply too new, too complex, too fragile to be released into the wild of our 24-hour news cycle and social media fervor without being misunderstood, twisted, or weaponized. Perhaps they aren't hiding a single terrifying discovery. Perhaps they are hiding the sheer, overwhelming scale of our ignorance. The data from Webb might be so anomalous, so contradictory, that it points to a reality far stranger and more complex than any of our 3 theories, or any theory we can currently process. My opinion? Well, I don't have one. Not a firm one. I have a deep-seated unease, a conviction that the official story is incomplete. But whether that is due to malice, to paternalistic protection, or simply to the chaotic birth pangs of a new scientific revolution, I cannot say. The only thing I'm sure of is this. A wall of silence has been erected between humanity and a machine we built to seek answers. Our answers. Whether that wall is built to protect us from the truth, or to protect the truth from us, the real mystery is waiting to be solved. You paid for the window. You deserve to look through it. As always, the search for answers doesn't end here. This is a conversation, and your voice is part of it too. What do you believe is hidden in the data? A future catastrophe, an ancient intelligence, or something beyond our current comprehension? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read them all. If you found yourself questioning reality tonight, consider subscribing and hitting the bell. We explore the boundary between what we know and what we're told we cannot know. Your support allows these investigations to continue. And if you're craving more mysteries, the playlist on screen right now is a great place to disappear next. Thank you for watching, stay curious, stay skeptical, and keep looking up. You might find something that's kinda weird.